But I think putting labels on things is an interesting way of kind of summarizing them up. And this whole concept of like studying humanities is like going rogue. I think is like an interesting idea. It's kind of funny.
I think mine was just like, I say a lot of like bits and parts of what I said today, like on a daily basis to like people I know, and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna put this together in a way that actually makes sense. And I think it turned out fairly well, so yeah.
Thanks to you.
I wish.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who's first?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question for Jason.
Yeah.
So, I personally have been thinking about this question a lot too. So, you said one word choice was you said humanities and quantitative STEM fields.
Uh-huh.
And what I find very interesting is in recent years, humanities is no longer qualitative, or like it's getting quantitative.
You're talking like digital humanities or what?
It's just like you use a lot of quantitative reasoning and techniques
Yeah.
in humanities to study traditionally pure like qualitative arguments,
Uh-huh.
right? So my question is, okay, it's a bit longer than that. So there are also a lot of people at Stanford who are STEM majors, right? But they have humanities interests.
Yeah.
I think these people actually are majorities.
Uh-huh.
So my question is, do you think that you can have a healthy humanities environment without having more humanities majors?
Yeah.
And
100%.
quantitative
Okay.
reasoning. And how do you get that? Because I don't think that's true now. I think it's still that the humanities majors are sort of like, as you said, the people look at them with concern rather
Yeah.
than like excitement. But
Yeah.
yeah. Just,
Okay, and I think that's actually a very important question because I think 100% it's possible to have a world in which like it's not like what people are actually like technically like majoring in, but the sense I get, and this is obviously a generalization and it's not always the case, but I think the sense I get is something like, oh well, like I study computer science and like I also like minor in philosophy because that's fun, you know, and so it's sort of like it's like kind of this like kind of fun like side hobby that like people do like. Oh, and I minored in art history. You know what I mean? Like to show that I'm like well-rounded. But it's not. It is sort of kind of secondary, right? Kind of presented that way as sort of like almost a hobby on the side. What would it look like if it's possible to have? I mean, I think most people here have a pretty diverse array of interests. I think most humanities majors, myself included, also have quantitative interests as well. But what would it look like? I don't know. I think it's more just how these sorts of concepts are presented and discussed. But I actually think probably critically is this whole concept that like what you're doing in class needs to have like a direct applicable thing in like a workplace right away. And I think actually so long as that's predominant, you're really only going to see that right away with like a lot of STEM things that you can like contribute your brain power immediately to someone like hiring you. So that's sort of a really good thing.
Do you have a question, Ryder? Yeah. So I guess mainly for the speakers who talked about social contracts and conversation, but really anybody can jump in. Do you guys think there's any value in small talk, in sort of the niceties of our day, in getting to know someone at a shallow level before trying to get to know them at a deep level? Do you think there's any value in that, or it's just kind of some convention that's built up that in an ideal world we'd get rid of?
For me, I haven't found value in that yet, because for me, it's like, I just feel like it's a waste of time when we can use that time to have conversations where we can like really talk about what is, because like there is always like moments in your day where you're scared about something, you're worried about something, and I feel like just talking over it with someone else and seeing that someone else is going through it is more, at least for me, it was more beneficial than talking about I mean like obviously you will, as you get to know the person, as you get to talk to them more and more, you will learn about stuff from them, like what's their favorite color or what's their favorite food, and like those things will naturally come along. I feel like it's more important for me at that moment to just find some solace, find something to just get that worry off my chest, or just like get someone's opinion that comes with more urgency than finding out, like letting the other person know that my favorite movie is this, or finding out that their favorite movie is this. I feel like that kind of comes along with the friendship. Yeah, but again, people differ very much so.
So yeah, I was actually going to mention it in my talk. I feel like small talk does have a purpose, and I mean like you can say a lot about like small talk and like smoothing out initial relationships or things like that. But I know for me especially, it's been like I find myself still doing small talk. Like as much as I love conscious conversation. Ooh. Vinny came up with that, by the way. It took us so long, but that was such a good summary. As much as I love it, I think small talk, I view it as a way to leave a thread to then start another conversation. Like in our day, I don't know. It's not that we can necessarily have a conversation every hour of the day, or like when we're passing each other in the hallway. It's true that we're not necessarily going to get to know each other in the hallway, but I view it as a way to spark an interest. To be like, hey, I haven't seen you in a really long while, but I really want to talk to you. Can we go get lunch? That's sort of, that's sort of where I am right now.
I guess it's called for really nice. I'm realizing, yeah.
So maybe let's take one more question, break for cream, and maybe the speakers can stick around for a little bit if people want to. Perfect.
Yeah, so I have a question for Inyan. So my question is, and I guess really any of you can answer to this too, since we all live in Roble. But you were talking about how in fall quarter you didn't really feel a connection towards people, obviously because they were new to you and you didn't really care about them. But now when Roble is your home,
Kind of nice.
I know we live together. But like when did that transition happen for you? When did it start to feel like a home?
I actually I can't recall a specific instance, but I honestly think like more than like the moments that I guess were like supposed to be like super fun, like the big events and everything, there were just like random moments where like we were not fully competent, or like we were like sad, or we were doing things or like, I don't know, like, I just can't, I think there were just very organic moments where I was like, wow, I actually like these people, and yeah, so my roommates are up here, I'm kind of scared. Yeah, so I think it was more like, that first quarter, I think we were just so stuck on like having fun, and like, we were here to have fun, we were here to like be with each other, like this is college, woohoo, that like, that I wasn't as like real as I could be, and then like winter and spring quarter, like, I mean now people have seen a little too much of me than I would like, and that's like, I guess that's what really made it a home, so.
Cool, why don't we move in, let's do another round of applause. Actually, we'll let you get through first because you're supposed to. But so let's do this in an orderly way.
Wait, can I just say before we end, props to Vineet and Paul and Samuel. Just for those of you who weren't here, I think some of you appreciate it, but I want you all to understand what kind of curating this takes. First of all, what kind of lobbying it takes and persuasion to get people who have amazing stories to tell to agree to tell them and to open up about them. And second of all, to frame them. And third of all, to get you all to get butts and seats. So really amazing job to you guys for the whole year. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Ice cream.
Let's do this.
Cool. We also have
Where y'all are sitting if you want to like get out there.
we also have 5 vegan and 5 gluten-free ones in the 2 bags
I'll
on the
put
side.
those to the side. And
Yeah.
Denise, do you want to figure out how we're going to do this via line in a fair way?
Yeah, maybe start with the speakers and we can try to
And then we can
get here. And then choose these. I'm not gonna have it, so
You keep it
Yours had really
It's really
I don't have